Welcome into the latest edition of Tracking the Tropics. Chief Meteorologist Hank Allen here with Natalie Parsons, and finally something to talk about.
Lots to go talking about.
Yes, lots going on, of course. We were talking about potential tropical cyclone number 1. We'll go through that with you over the next half hour, let you know what to expect locally here. And, you know, we've been sort of on record as saying over the past couple of weeks that looks like we'd get something early season, June or July.
Yes.
Wasn't necessarily guaranteeing this week, but indeed it happened. And so we'll talk about what's going on here. I think this is a great example, though, of that MJO phase that you and I have talked about before. Even the past couple of seasons we've talked about when you get that phase of the atmosphere, just sort of enhanced development potential coming through. It's not always a guarantee.
Yeah.
But when it's over, it's in the right phase, as it is this week. You really have to keep an eye on any sort of disturbance or something that's out there for the potential of development. And then you've also got, of course, this cold front draped over us, which a lot of times when you get these lows sort of meandering around and maybe interacting with these cold fronts, it helps to enhance development too. So there's a couple different things going on here.
Yes,
and,
lots of fun.
And a lot of rain.
Oh, lots of rain, lots of flooding as of now. I mean, there were flash flood warnings in effect for our friends out in the Mississippi counties and the North Shore area. Flood advisory for St. Tammany Parish and our Mississippi County areas, and it's been a very, very interesting morning of lots of red boxes. Yeah,
and frankly, as I think we were talking about the past couple of weeks on this show, the Mississippi counties have just gotten a ton of rain.
Get a boat.
Yeah.
Get a boat, forget about your car.
Pearl River especially, so much rain over the past couple of weeks during this wet stretch that we've seen at times that unfortunately we're adding more onto it. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. First off, there's the latest on potential tropical cyclone number 1. I still hate this classification by the Hurricane Center. It's like, because
weird.
No one knows really what that means.
Yeah.
And of course that means they've got a system that's not technically a tropical system yet. It's not the closed center of circulation. It's not a depression. It's not a named storm. But they expect it to be shortly, so then they start issuing the coordinates and the forecast tracks and all that. I don't know why you have to change the name. You could have just put that out anyway. But
so for people wondering about when they're called invest
Yes.
versus the potential tropical cyclone.
That's a great point.
What's the difference there, and what are people, you know, if they see that?
It's like the PTC is one step up. And so you've got an invest, which is usually just a wave, where they're focused enough on to where we start getting the tropical models, the spaghettis and that sort of thing, and the individual hurricane models you can zoom in with. And then when it gets to the point to where they expect it to turn into a named storm or a depression over the next, let's say, 12 to 24 hours, that's when we get the potential tropical cyclone. Then we start issuing the tracks and all that. It's a great point, though, because there's lots of terms out there that, frankly, I think confuse people.
They
do it. Yeah, they do it for clarity. They put in the PTC labeling for clarity, and I think it just makes things more confusing. But nevertheless, here's the official forecast. If you've been with us the past couple of evenings and mornings, we've been talking about, you know, does this get offshore? And if it does, it doesn't look like by much.
No.
And so you can kind of see the forecast track here where the Hurricane Center really doesn't move this more than, what, maybe 50 miles offshore. And so this is a great example. If it was farther offshore, maybe you'd get more development, of course, over the Gulf. But still, they expect it to become our first named storm of the season, which is Arthur, I think. Is that right? Again, I should know these names.
It's a blur every year.
I know. I have to go back every day and relook at these names. Minimal tropical storm, though, at 40 miles per hour. So the forecast here is barely to get this thing to named storm strength before moving inland right around the Louisiana-Texas border there, and then quickly off into, let's say, sort of just northeast of Alexandria there as a depression by Thursday morning.
But if we're lucky, skipping out on us.
Yeah. And so we are going to be, obviously, on the wetter side of that. You'll get the moisture drawn up. But this, to me, is a great example of one of these systems you want to develop quicker, because we were talking about, you know, you and I were sitting here looking at a couple of days ago.
Just rain.
Rain Thursday, Friday.
Every day.
Yeah, sort of lingering a lot. But now if you get this thing moving quicker and sort of winding up and consolidating a bit.
Get in and out.
Right. Maybe it moves quicker, and maybe you can get that rainfall out of here
a
little bit quicker as well. Spaghetti models, you know, I'm not a huge fan of these, but I guess I'm more of a fan when they're all in pretty good agreement.
Which is kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah. Pretty good grouping right along the Texas, Louisiana border there, maybe from, let's say, Houston eastward, and then quickly up into your old stomping grounds up there, maybe up into North Carolina.
Good luck to them. I'm not there anymore, so.
You don't have to worry about that. I've actually got a buddy driving down in town. He's coming to visit from North Carolina Thursday. And,
so he's skipping out on it by the time it gets
up to... Yeah, and he's driving down. I said, boy, you're punching right through this thing then.
95?
As we get...
what is it, I-20 maybe?
He's coming from Charlotte, yeah. So it'll
into Atlanta?
Yeah,
okay.
Coming down 85 probably, and then down 20.
Okay, depending on how fast he goes. ATL's like here.
Right up north, so a little north of there, yeah. So he'll be driving right on through it. And but to your point, I mean, that's Friday at 3 o'clock, and this thing's way off to the northeast there.
Yeah.
So that really is beneficial to help you limit, some of these storms that we've seen. The one that the benchmark that always jumps out for sort of a weak system was Allison in Houston, decades ago, that just sat there and just produced just so much rainfall flooding.
Oh, well, they get hit a lot though,
they do. Yeah, they had it with Harvey too. That was a much stronger storm, but obviously you don't want that.
No.
And so nice to get this thing maybe swept out of here fairly quickly.
Yeah.
As we go through the next few days. There are some tropical storm watches in effect, basically from, I don't know, what would you say, probably Corpus. Well, there's Corpus way down there. So let's say Galveston on around to the Atchafalaya Basin there. Atchafalaya Bay and then around Morgan City. So tropical storm watch in effect to indicate the potential for tropical storm force winds. So
don't go on a boat.
Yeah, definitely.
Skip it. Don't do it.
Big time. Big time. Skip out on any sort of boating the next few days. Anybody that has to work offshore, you got to be really careful. We're not talking about major hurricane force winds, obviously, so we're talking maybe gusts into the 40s, 50s maybe. Sustained winds probably in the 30s. This is not a huge, it's not going to be a massive wind maker.
Even in terms of like the track that we saw before, like the winds being in between 40 and 30, when we have storms coming in, the gusts that we may experience will be that strong. So this is sustained winds.
Yeah, and this is pretty moderate in terms of tropical systems. And so I don't think we're looking at major issues here, but obviously recreational boating. You certainly don't want to get out on the water here over the next couple of days. It is going to be pretty choppy out there. You're going to have wave heights, maybe 6 to 8 feet, something like that. And it is certainly going to be rough seas out there all across the area. There's the latest visible satellite, and when we come back from break, we'll get into a little bit more of the analysis aspect here and then move on into impacts. But you can see that swirl, pretty well-defined circulation right over the word Corpus there. And so the bulk of the thunderstorm activity in higher cloud top is offshore. And we're still trying to nudge that low off.
Scoot it over, come on.
Yeah, we'll see if it can make its way offshore. It's again, we saw it's not going to be by much. I mean, that track is just not coming offshore very much. This is
like
not
gliding along the coast.
Yeah, it's more of like just a sort of a parallel track along the coast. So we'll come back and talk more about what we expect to be, Arthur, coming up here in just a couple minutes. Hope you stay with us here on Tracking the Tropics. Here, Hank Allen, Natalie Parsons, as we look at potential tropical cyclone number 1. I love the visible shot because it gives you a great idea of where that circulation is right over the Corpus Christi area. You can see those higher cloud tops moving offshore. And I gotta say, I think this is going to be one of those that we look back on, and this is what sometimes annoys me when people are like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. It's like, this is going to end up being pretty well modeled, I think, because the models have been pretty persistent on keeping this very close to the Texas coast, where the rain bands are setting up, where the big batch of rain is to the east of that, and that's where you have right now. We've been showing this the past couple of days, and it's had a pretty, I mean, both the GFS and the European have had, pretty consistent batches of rain on the eastern side of that you see there, and we'll have to watch that moving up. But a lot of heavy rain over our area too.
Yep, indeed. Lots of flood alerts going out earlier today between a few flash flood warnings, flood advisory. There was a few marine warnings, especially over Lake Pontchartrain when you were heading over here.
Yep. Lots of pretty potent storms, as we've seen. Lots of flooding so far today up around Washington Parish.
Yeah.
The Picayune area has seen quite a bit of flooding over there in Pearl River County. And so again, it's sort of a combination of the two things we've been talking about this week, where we've got that stalled out frontal zone over us, and you can see that with the rain extending well up into Georgia and the Carolinas. And so we've got the rain now. And then you're going to add in more of this rain coming up from what we expect to be Arthur here, which is something that we're going to have to watch for in terms of the ground already fairly saturated, at least in the northern parts of the area. Florida parishes, as you mentioned, southern Mississippi. South Shore, we really haven't seen a whole lot. And this is what we talked about even going into this whole thing, to where it's like the heaviest rain looks like it's going to be sort of the northern half of the area. if not beyond. So Metro New Orleans has been okay so far, but definitely some heavy rain to the north. I'll give you a little bit better look at that.
I was looking at numbers earlier, and I was just looking at like these areas.
Yeah.
And I saw between 2.8 inches all the way up to a little over 10 inches. So that's a lot of rain. You're a little shy in certain spots, a little under a foot of rain in the last 24 hours.
Wow, that's
insanity.
Crazy. Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot, and that's what, and that is the problem with these tropical air masses. There's just so much moisture out there that if you get a storm that intensifies a bit, you're just looking at tremendous rainfall rates out of these. And you can see even now over towards Baton Rouge, a big line of rain coming up with more individual cells here farther to the south. But we're talking about persistent flooding issues, I think, through the afternoon and evening across the Florida parishes. And so this is one of those situations where we're lucky it's not going to be a stronger system, because if you had a ton of wind, now you're talking about trees getting knocked over probably easier with the saturated ground and all that. But incredible rainfall amounts, as you mentioned, just in the past day or so. If
you have any awesome video, send us some of it. We want to see it. We will show it off. We'll give you a shout out. Don't you worry. We just love videos. You could send it to me and Parsons at Wgno.com. You could also send it to Hank H. Allen at Wgno.com. Please, 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 we want to see your pictures and videos, all of it.
Right. Pics, easy to remember, PICS at Wgno.com. We'll get that as well. Widespread flood watches out there, anywhere from central Alabama all the way around through southern Texas at this point. Of course, all those dark boxes, those red maroon boxes.
This is way more than what we had earlier.
Flash flood warnings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on out there. And that is sort of the theme that we were trying to, I think, disseminate going into the week.
Convey lots of flooding. Be careful if you're going to be on the roads. Slow things down. Be mindful of flooding. Do not attempt it.
Right.
You may end up killing your car. You may end up killing yourself, which we don't want you to do. So just be very mindful. Turn around, don't drown. You hear that motto all the time, but definitely over the next few days. For sure. And
not necessarily flooding everywhere, and that's the problem with these setups, is there's going to be probably a heavier pocket that sets up somewhere. And as we were saying, it looked like initially it was going to be maybe north of our area. Well, now it's actually in the Florida parishes and then continuing off to the west there. So that corridor there, that has a tremendous amount of rainfall flooding that will continue through at least the rest of today, and anytime we get more rainfall the next couple of days, it's going to pop up pretty quick. And then river flooding as well, which we've seen some of over the past couple of weeks. That's going to be another issue that we see. So here's the forecast modeling, a little bit wider spread here. This is the European model, which, again, has been pretty accurate, I think, the past couple of days. I mean, it has shown this moving out of Mexico. It has it, sort of hugging the coast there. You can see the little center of circulation. And what's interesting is you go through the next couple of days, it actually sort of loses that closed low. I mean, this is almost just sort of a broad open wave. So the Hurricane Center says tropical storm likely at this point, I would say. The European says maybe, if anything, briefly, but obviously by tomorrow evening, it's almost onshore and sort of an open wave at that point, which isn't overly impressive in terms of tropical development.
So maybe just like a few hours, it'll actually be a tropical storm, if that.
Right. No, I think that's pretty accurate. This is not going to be a huge, long-lasting system if it even makes it. And keep in mind that forecast was only 40 miles per hour, which is like the lowest possible tropical storm you can get. So they don't even think it's doing much in terms of strengthening, but you can see that wave of rain starting to move back in Wednesday evening from the west here. And this is why we were saying you really want this thing to try to strengthen. It'd be better if it was stronger, because you would be sort of wrapping around that rainfall around the center, as opposed to by Thursday morning you just have sort of this blob, if you will.
Hot garbage.
Yeah, hot garbage in terms of tropical development, but just sort of this mass of rain. So you'd really like this to be spinning around a bit more to sort of wrap up that rainfall and help lift it up out of the area. So I do think a lot of that heavy rain lasts into Thursday morning and then starts to clear out a little bit more by Thursday afternoon and evening as that heads off towards the northeast. But it's interesting how it really doesn't maintain much circulation with it. So, there's a couple of factors with that. Obviously, it's just not going to be that strong to begin with. Now, you'd have probably a little bit less tornado threat at that point, because obviously when we get these systems moving on and they've got these, big areas of circulation, you have that certainly embedded tornado potential on the eastern side. But it doesn't look overly impressive in terms of the circulation with that. So a little bit more on the short term. It does look like we dry out some tonight.
Yes, like mellow out at least. And
yes.
then the storms will start up again early in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, so as we go into Wednesday, you start to get that southerly flow coming up, and then here you go is that batch of rain.
Okay,
and
later.
This is, yeah, a little bit later in the afternoon, but this is the graph model, which is good sort of short-term, small scale. Not necessarily great with tropical, so sometimes it can tend to over-enhance, the spin and that sort of thing. But you can see it has a similar look to the European in the sense that you start to get this big mass of rain coming up.
Same thing as before with that.
Exactly. Yep. Big bullseye up to the north.
It's in the overnight.
But not really a great circulation area. You see a little twist right there, but nothing major, I would say. So, I think the same general theme as what we've talked about the past couple of days. The flooding and the rain is really the big story here, because these are areas that so far today, you said 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah, so much rain.
And we're adding more on over the next several hours. We'll come back and talk more about the impacts here as we go through the next couple of days. Stay with us on Tracking the Tropics. All right, back with our final segment of Tracking the Tropics. Natalie Parsons, Hank Allen here with you. And I think the main takeaway here is
flood, flood, flood.
Yeah, especially in the Florida parishes where we're getting dumped on now. And so as you get into Wednesday nights, let's say through midday Thursday maybe, those are the areas that we really need to focus on in terms of that flood potential. So, I know some parishes are maybe giving out sandbags if you're somebody that tends to get some of that water nearby the house or whatever the case, or maybe you got some property along the river somewhere up here.
Yeah.
The usual suspects like the Bogachita or the Pearl River or the Bogafly, or maybe as you get over towards the west there, maybe along the Tickfall, something like that. There's going to be some river flooding as we get towards the end of the week and the weekend after all this.
If we have some spots up there getting about 10 inches thus far, imagine how much rain they're going to see over the next 24 hours. I mean, it's close to 2 feet maybe?
Yeah, potentially so. Depending on if we get, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because if it's an open wave more like these show, you get less of that tropical banding, but you get more of the widespread just sort of blob, if you will. And these are technical
hot garbage,
terms.
as he says.
Yeah, technical terms, blob versus band. But you can see the impacts there as that system pulls off to the east. Now you still have some lingering rain potentially along that front of it's lingering over sort of the I-10 corridor and just north. So again, Mississippi counties potentially getting dumped on here as you go through Thursday afternoon. And as you were pointing out at the break, notice not really a whole lot on the South Shore.
They're still going to have the drought monitor probably.
Probably a little bit. And we're talking about cleaning the catch basins and all that, which is good. You got to keep those clear. But I don't see this being a huge system that impacts the metro New Orleans area. Certainly not as much as the main focus, which is on the North Shore. So we clear out Thursday afternoon a little bit, and then by Friday we're sort of back into this, maybe the lingering front remaining. Still, but yeah, and then sort of some pop-up type stuff. There's the rainfall forecast from the sort of the Weather Prediction Center here, and you can see kind of like what we're talking about, whereas you get towards the coast, much less.
Yeah, 2 to 3 inches down here, and then further north you go, the more rain you get. I think so far it should be a little lower now at this point with what has fallen just today.
Right, and initially it did look like it would be a little bit north of our area. And now, unfortunately, it's kind of right over our area. And when I say that, our viewing area, of course, so Florida parishes, Pearl River, Hancock County.
Coming down.
And like you said, a lot of these areas already at 10 inches. Yeah. So we may end up with close to
big rainmaker.
15 to 20 inches through the whole week in some of these spots by the time it's all said and done with. Not a huge wind producer. As the center of that comes on shore by tomorrow afternoon and evening, you'll start to see some gusts, maybe close to 30, mostly in the 20s across the area here over the next couple of days. Nothing major. I mean, obviously.
We get that regularly with storms.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Frankly, the past few weeks at times out ahead of fronts even, or just because of strong high pressure. So, yeah, this is nothing major. Notice along the coast, stronger winds as usual, so gusting to around 30.
Maybe still, lock things up if they could potentially be blown or damaged. Like, same rules apply, bring things in, all that stuff.
Right, especially south of I-10.
Grand Isle.
Or if you're out to the west. The main takeaway, I think, with this is, as you mentioned, stay off the water.
Yes, we want you safe. Don't do it.
Yeah, let's avoid this.
I know 'tis the season to get out on the boat, but don't do it.
Yeah, we're just going to have to pack that in for a couple of days here, and then the winds will start to die down a little bit, it looks like, as we get into Thursday afternoon. So about maybe a 24-hour period of blustery conditions midday tomorrow through midday Thursday, and that's about it. So not a huge wind producer here. Here's the peak storm surge potential from the the Hurricane Center. Galveston to Morgan City, they've got that up to 6 foot range. I think that is.
As tall as you.
It is, yeah. I think that's a little bit.
Much?
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Possible?
Yeah, possible. But
not guaranteed?
It seems unlikely to me just because of the short lifespan of this system.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 feet's not a ton, but you still have to get
Power.
that water piled up, and you still have to have a strong enough system to do it. So I'd probably be more in the 3 to 4 feet in that yellow area if it was me. And then you can see, at least for our purposes, Morgan City to Buras up to 3 feet. So again, not anything more probably than what we've seen. I mean, we've seen these coastal flood advisories the past couple of weeks.
You know the area better than me. So our friends in Palackman's Parish, because it's pretty marshy, how big do the waves have to get to fully cover that, like little strip?
Oh yeah, we're not going to get anywhere near that.
Okay.
You'd need a lot more. So up to 3 feet is kind of, I mean, we've seen a couple of these flood advisories lately where we've gotten, I think, up to 1.5 feet, 2. So it'll be a little bit more than that, than what we've seen over the past couple of weeks. But this is nothing major. Now, like you said, Plaquemines, you got a lot of camps down there along the river. Grand Isle, you'll get maybe some minor flooding with that. Anywhere that you've got, you know, those lower lying spots, if you've got the camps or the recreational vehicles, good idea to maybe move those inland a little bit just to be safe, as you know. But
unless there'll be a boat.
Yeah. So not a huge issue, I don't think, at this point in terms of storm surge, just because. And storm surge, there's so many factors, just the duration of the storm over the water, the intensity of it, obviously, the angle it's coming in. I mean, we're talking about this thing being inland by tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
So I just don't think we have enough time to build up massive amounts of storm surge with this system. Rainfall forecast, of course, has been all over the map over the past couple of days. Now, what's interesting is last night we had a 10 to 12 reading over there in Kentwood, and we were kind of joking like, well, this is probably a little excessive, but, you know, this is to give you an example of what could happen. Well, it doesn't look so excessive now.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we're already,
I mean, Poplarville's already gotten more than that.
Yeah, and so this is actually probably pretty accurate because what we've been talking about here, the highest rainfall amounts north of I-10, and keep in mind, this is from now through Friday morning. And so you've already gotten 8 to 10 inches of rain in spots. Now we're adding on maybe another 8 to 10, depending on where those heavier areas set up. And it's still raining out there right now. I mean, we still have a lot of heavy rain. As we saw by maybe 6 or 7 tonight, it starts to taper off. But there's a lot of heavy rain out there still in that corridor of the Florida parishes. So that bullseye rainfall totals is going to end up really in our northern areas here. So just be prepared. Tremendous rain flooding potential, also river flooding, which is going to last longer into the weekend, of course. But that is something that we're going to have to watch out for. And then we've got the severe weather outlooks too, level 1. Not a great chance, although we did have a tornado warning earlier.
With a waterspout potential, the marine warning right over Lake Pontchartrain, those parts.
Had that marine warning. I think there may have been a brief one in St. Tammany as well. So unlikely that we see tremendous, but of course it is going to be a landfalling tropical system. And typically on the eastern side of that, we'll get a few spin-up tornadoes. Not a strong system though, so that benefits us in terms of this, but you still have to keep an eye out. You can see everybody with the level 1 Thursday. You still have to keep an eye out on a brief sort of a tropical spin-up. Water spout certainly. Yes. Very easy to spin up, and maybe even a water spout that briefly touches shore or land or something like that. So that would be the main impacts there. So
here we are.
So here we are. We're marching our way towards the peak of the season here, but the first potential named storm of the season, Arthur, on its way. So, you know, we'll be here with you obviously over the next couple of days, but flooding is the main impact.
Get your boots.
Get the rain boots on.
Get the rain gear.
Get the P-Rogues as well, maybe. All right, we'll be back tonight. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.